In regional comedy and traditional farces, specific accents have long functioned as the reliable punchline. On the stages of Shanghai, performers consistently singled out the Subei and local Pudong dialects for this kind of ridicule. It raises a question about why we laugh. Is the accent itself phonetically humorous, or are we simply indulging in a sense of class superiority? This dynamic was built on a rigid geographic hierarchy. For decades, a sharp divide existed between center-city urbanites and the rural populations living just across the river. While city residents looked down on their country neighbors, their own physical reality was often quite limited. They maintained an air of linguistic arrogance while living in cramped alleyways, sharing kitchens and public taps. These language preferences were never about aesthetics. They were tools used to categorize people into distinct social tiers based on where they lived. During the Cultural Revolution, this hierarchy was put to the test. Thousands of urban doctors and teachers were relocated from the city center to the rural outskirts of Pudong. These individuals were stripped of their urban status and placed into impoverished agrarian conditions. Despite their fallen fortune, many maintained their urban accents as a psychological defense, mocking the local Pudong dialect to preserve a city-bred identity. The local villagers who tried to mimic the urbanites by speaking a broken mixed dialect were often shunned by their own neighbors for their perceived vanity. In this context, a prestige dialect becomes a shield, a way to project social superiority when economic advantages have disappeared. The rules of language change when the environment is more immediate, such as a city child entering a rural Pudong school. In this setting, the child mastered the local Pudong dialect in just 2 weeks. This rapid adaptation was driven by environmental pressure. In a schoolyard, being different is a liability that often leads to isolation. The child had to choose: keep the elegant city accent and remain an outsider, or adopt the rustic dialect to finally belong. The playground demonstrates that the value of a dialect is dictated by the group that holds the majority in any given room. Today, that geographic hierarchy has been upended. The farmlands of Pudong have been replaced by a landscape of global finance and high-rises. The original Pudong residents found themselves in new economic reality, receiving massive demolition payouts that turned former farmers into multi-property owners. Their net worth began to far exceed that of the old inner-city residents, many of whom remained in the same deteriorating alleyways. As the money moved, the linguistic stigma followed. The Pudong dialect lost its rustic label, as it is now associated with the wealth of the region's landlords. This chart shows the direct correlation between wealth and dialect status. As the line for Pudong wealth climbs and eventually crosses the line for inner-city wealth, the social labels attached to their respective dialects swap positions. Cultural contempt often tracks economic shifts. The power to define which language sounds elegant has always been a reflection of which group holds the most economic capital.